Hey family, welcome back to our Sunday edition of our little talks on YouTube. Look, if you don't know me, I'm Mayaka Anderson, and I am the owner of Rooted Vines, a holistic health and wellness emporium where we offer natural products to help you align your mind, body, and your spirit, right? So that you can live a more balanced and harmonious life. Look, y'all, I just want to say hello. And I wanted to see if you saw my little poster, my little thumbnail of your past is not your future. That was cute, huh? This rap is really bothering me today. It's just, I threw it on. It's early in the morning. I had to get this done. You hear me? Done. But anyways, I guess if I look for it, it'd be all right. But it's just you, family, so we're going to be real. This is how it is sometimes. So, anyways, the past is not your future. That's what we're talking about today, y'all. Say it with me. The past is not your future. All right. And we're going to say it one more time because some people are living in the past. And so this vibration is going to take a while to get to them. Okay. So let's say it all together. Your past is not your future. All right, y'all, we got that out, and I hope that this message gets to those that are stuck in the past so that they can come on forward, right? So today is a touchy little subject, right? So we're gonna take a lot of twists and turns. So I need you to buckle up your seatbelt. I need you to hang on to the car handle, right? Because we're gonna be zooming through this, right? Because it can get a little touchy in certain areas about why people can't live fully in the present, right? It's like I know you're thinking, "Oh, talking about the past. Why are we really talking about the past?" It's like going to a restaurant, getting a doggy bag, and then the next day you're warming up your food and you're eating it, right? You deserve better. I love leftovers, so let me not trip. But you do deserve better. All right. So we are going to be talking about how we can leave the past alone, come forward, where there is prosperity and plenty for all, right? We're living in a time where the playing field is being evened, right? So we need to be able to see that and know that our blessings await us in the future. All that we desire is sitting here in the future. And if you stay in the past, you will never realize who you are, and complete your assignment that you were given when you came into this realm, right? And I'm not talking about the assignments your parents put on you, your teachers, your pastors, whatever. As a spiritual being, what we are supposed to be doing, right? I got my notes over here, right here. So we're going to be, kind of talking about a lot of different facets about the past. And when I bring up the past, I ain't talking about your ex-girlfriend or your ex-boyfriend. I ain't even talking about the crazy fashion statements you did in the 80s, 70s, even the 90s, right? We ain't talking that past. But we are talking about the past that kind of gets you caught up. The past can kind of look like a quilt. When you see a quilt, it has all these squares. Well, each square is represents um, a time period in your life, right? And people go back there because they call it nostalgia. Like you ever walk into a store or you walk outside and there's a scent that comes by. You can't really grab the scent sometimes, but it will immediately transport you back to the past, to a memory, and the memory so strong. You smell the scent, but you smell other things around it. You can hear what the number one song during that time, that day, right? You know what you was wearing, you know who you were around, you know your emotions, what you were feeling. Sometimes nostalgia, those boxes are really cool to visit every once in a while because they put you in a hyped up feeling good zone. You feel good, that was a good time for you. And then there's other boxes that you hit, and they hit the depression button, the sadness button, the question button. Why didn't I say this, or why didn't I do this? You know what I'm saying? So we don't want to get stuck in those boxes. We can only visit every briefly, and you have to be able to be strong enough to visit briefly, because you need to be able to pinpoint where you want to go in the past, get what you need, and then come back for it. It's not meant for us to stay there. Lessons have been learned, and some lessons are still being learned from the past, because sometimes you don't remember all your past. But have you ever been like lying in bed or sitting on a couch and a memory hits you that you had totally forgotten? I always tell people, if that happens, dissect that memory. There might have been a lesson in there that's coming forward to help you in your present. right? To help you be able to not relive it, but maybe there's a decision that's coming up and it's going to help you make a better decision than you did the last time. I've said this before on one of my other videos. Your mind is like a computer, and the universe is constantly testing you. Sometimes it brings forth things that you've already been through. It just looks a little different because of the time that you're in, the era and the period that you're in. But the choice, that's what you want to look at. What did I do back then, and where did it lead me? What is this trying to tell me now? All right. So we don't want to stay in the past. Now, I told you before, we need to buckle up. We need to hang on to that, that car handle, because I'm driving. I'm driving, and I've been told I'm a little out there with my driving. All right. Okay. So on our car, we have a rear view mirror, right? And we use that rear view mirror. We're looking on the side. We're looking up. We're checking makeup. We're doing, doing all the things in the car. But when we deal with life, I challenge you to leave the rear view mirror behind. Just rip it off. Just take it down, right? And I want you to trade it in for a telescope, okay? Because the rear view mirror has you constantly looking back. What you looking at? Now, if you're in a real car, I got it. But we're dealing with life experience. So, what you looking at, right? Everything you need is here and forward. So we're gonna trade in that rearview mirror, and we're going to trade it in for a telescope. Now, what's the telescope gonna do for us? The telescope is gonna make us look up, look out into the future. We are seeking something, right? We are searching for something, right? That's what we want. The hope is there. The possibilities of the last frontier, right? The Federation out there. That's what they do. They go out and they search. They're looking, right? Because they're progressing. And that's what we need to do in our life. We need to grow and progress. We need that telescope so that we can see there is something better out there. We don't know what it is because we are looking out into the abyss in the sky. Y'all, excuse me. I got my Roddy out here, and y'all know she always got to make a presence. I don't even know what's going on. But anyways, I'm going to let her bark because I don't know how to edit. I'm still learning. So we just going to go through this together, right? But we're looking out into the abyss, the unknown. And the unknown is scary for a lot of people. But the unknown also brings promises. What could be? What's waiting for you? Right? Aren't you curious? Aren't you a little bit like, what does my future look like? What does my future wife look like? My future husband? What does my future job look like? What happens when I finish school? Like, you want to daydream forward. But a lot of people daydream backwards. Like, they'll be in the past and they're asking themselves, well, I wonder what would have happened if I would have took a right at that light. Or if I wouldn't have found my keys so early. Or if I would have been there and holding my mom's hand when she passed. Like, there's a lot of what ifs. Things we'll never know because the past is just that, the past. You get what you can get from it, but you have to move forward. Learn the lessons you were meant to learn and then move forward. All right, I told you this is going to be touchy. Y'all, this going to be touchy right here. But I want to show you that the past is nothing more than a pesky fly. Right? It just keeps nagging at you. Come on, come back with me. Come see what's going on back here. But I'm letting you know that your freedom is in your future, right? Your blessings are in the future. They can't do anything for you in the past. Everything is right now and forward. So that's what we're going to talk about. That's what, we're going to dive into the mysteries, the deep abyss. Don't get scared. We're going to go under. I know how Black people are with water. Uh, but I'm just saying. Now I got my notes here because I want to make sure that we get everything we need to get. If you don't know about me, I know I did my introduction in the beginning and stuff, but my whole situation with life right now is about helping people confront themselves, do their shadow work. I believe I talked about shadow work on the last video or the video before that, but my whole purpose is to help you deal with whatever is in you, to face yourself, right? To face your true enemy, which is self. to be able to conquer yourself so that you can go forward and leave those nasty thoughts, actions, whatever it is behind, so that you can become the person that you were supposed to be in the beginning, before your parents' beliefs got a hold of you, before the church got a hold of you, before your teachers got a hold of you, before your cousins and your aunties got a hold of you, right? So it's confronting yourself to know who you truly are. So the past is not your future is part of that, right? Confronting who you are. Um, we want to understand why. Why is it that we do get stuck in the past? Now, one reason is people get comfortable. You know, when I was talking about the nostalgia piece, when you enter into the good piece, you just keep wishing, man, I wish things were like that. Like back in the day. You ever hear somebody that's all they talk about? Back in the day, we used to, you know what I mean? Ah, the music was so, oh, that fashion. They remember everything. Like when they're talking to you, it's almost like you can like you're there with them, right? You can feel the energy, like they really want to be back there, right? That's where this make America great again thing, right? People really don't know the true history of America and all that went down and the atrocities and stuff, but they focus on what they think happened, right? And they start to visualize and they start to get the emotions of what it would be like for the information that they do know. Same present with all of us. We want to go back to that one period of time that just made us feel like we were on cloud nine. Like, man, this is what heaven must feel like. You know what I'm saying? But we can't do that. We have to walk out. We can't stay comfortable there. And when you talk about comfortability, it's about, like I said, like the Federation going out into space, right? You don't know. You don't know what you'll stumble upon. You don't know what you'll experience, what you'll have to create, because maybe when you get there, something doesn't exist, but you need. You know, it keeps you on your toes. It keeps your energy filled, your life, because you're always looking, you're always expecting, right? But you're not really sure what that thing is, and you don't know who you'll become. That's when we have the issue. So being comfortable is a problem for a lot of people. I have met people who have lived in their city block all day life. They haven't traveled to the next block. They haven't traveled outside the city, and you can just forget about being out of the state. Now, I've talked to some people like that, and I asked them, "Well, don't you want to go visit? Don't you want to go on vacation? Don't you want to go visit?" And I have gotten answers like, "Why? Everything I have is right here." Mind blowing, right? Everything I have is right here. Now, them city blocks, they do got everything. Everything you need is right there. You really don't need to leave the block. But it's curiosity, right? But what I found is people who stay in the same place, they're comfortable because they know who they are in that space. They understand their aspect of themselves and the role that they play in that space, in that environment. And then everybody knows them in that space, in that environment. Right? It's like going to Cheers where everybody knows your name, right? You feel a sense of connection. You feel a sense of importance, right? But if you were to leave that area and go to the next block or outside the city or to a whole new state, your existence is not the same. You have to figure out who you are in this new aspect of self, in this new environment, with these new people and the way they think and their perspective, right? And a lot of people either don't have the energy or they are terrified to find out if they can make it outside of the community that they grew up in, right? Now, you always have the black sheeps. The black sheeps are the ones that have to get out of the community. They're the ones that will leave their block and be in another country, right? Because they have to know who they are outside of this environment, outside of this fishbowl that you put me in. They recognize at a very young age that there is more out there, not just for me to experience, but for me to get to know me, my weaknesses, my strengths, my loves, my hates, right? When you leave something you've always known. You get to meet yourself for the first time on a whole new level. And that is terrifying because as I teach people to do their shadow work, they are scared of themselves. You are your number one enemy, point blank, period. And you live with you every day. So whatever you're telling yourself throughout the years, it becomes true. You feed yourself so much of that, then you work on that vibration. And if you stop and you looked around, your environment looks like you, it reflects you. The people that you come into contact with reflect you. I am you, you are me. And that's why I really focus on who I allow in my circle, places I go, because I do understand the energy exchange. And I understand that um, when I deal with people, I'm dealing with myself, right? I want to deal with the aspects of the good parts of myself. Now, I do want to recognize those parts that are not serving me well so that I know what they are. I know how they think. I know how they move. So I can put processes and boundaries in place for myself. Because, like I said, there's always like two aspects of yourself. And really, there's more than two because anytime you move into a new environment, you meet a new you. As I have become an entrepreneur, I have learned that that's a different me. This me is an entrepreneur, but I don't know her. And I'm hard on her, right? I'm like, why can't you do this? What is it? This, da, 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 da. But she's like, I'm new here. I'm learning like you're learning. I just put on this hat because this is what you wanted to be. This is what you wanted to do. And I'm here to assist you and facilitate you that in that. But have grace with me. We're going to make it. Bring me to the table. We're going to sit down and you're going to let me know what you need. And we're going to figure this out together. That's a different aspect of me that I've never known. I didn't know I could ever be an entrepreneur, right? But being able to move forward, even into the unknown. I'm here, right? Starting this YouTube channel. I would have never in a million years think I'd have a YouTube channel. Does it matter if I have followers or not? No, because I understand my assignment. I'm not here for numbers. Somebody's going to see this and it's going to change their life. I don't know how or when. It could be 5, 10, 15 years from now. But somebody's life will be changed because I decided to step up and come from beyond and step into the unknown to see what happens, to see what transpires, right? That's what it's all about. So people get comfortable and they don't want to move. And that's how you get stuck in the past. Also, you meet the guys that still be wearing like the bell bottoms and the platform shoes or the zoot suits or the women in the 50s. Some women they just like the fashion, but there are some that really are stuck in that era, right? They possess it. They think about it. That's who they are. They never came out of the 70s or the 60s or shoot the 80s or 90s, right? Um, their mindset is still stuck there, and so they never ever get to see themselves in a different light with different potential and different thoughts. And that's what you don't want to happen. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself in a corner and say, this is all that I am. You are so much more than that. But unless you step forward, you will never know what you are really capable of and able to do. So I wanted to touch that. Let me see if I need to touch anything else on there. Now, like I said, nostalgia is great. Don't get stuck there. Visit every blue moon. And I love black people because we can go to nostalgia together. We can all jump in the what did the time machine and go back together because it's like we all grew up in the same household. And it's so beautiful when we get together and we share our experiences. You start to think, man, did we have the same mom? Like the same rules apply? Like she said it the same way? Like what? Right? We get in there together and we feel good because it's a group thing. We're not alone, right? We're not alone in some of those traumatic experiences. We're not alone in some of those fun games we used to play, right? We're not alone in the scrape of the knee. We're not alone when it comes to being made to go to church and all of that. There's others who have sat with us. We didn't even know they were sitting with us until we got together and we find out, gosh, I think we grew up in the same household. It's a beautiful thing. And it's really sad when we have to end. We have to come forward because it's a communion. We are people who were meant to be together, not separated. And so when we come together, magical things happen, and it's a beautiful thing. But even as a group, we can't stay, and we can't stay by ourselves. We must have the courage and the fortitude to move on. All right. So I want to talk about grief, because grief sometimes can have us imprisoned within ourselves, where we stay right at that point, right? We don't go anywhere else. It has a grip on us. And one thing I do want to mention about grief does not always have to be about a loved one transitioning, right? It doesn't always have to be the physical death of someone. You can grieve over a job, yes. You can grieve over a relationship, yes. Um, so you can grieve over who you thought you were going to become. It happens. It happens. Grief is an interesting thing, because a lot of people think that someone has to pass away for someone to be in grieving. Another thing, grief is very elusive, because if it's not a transitioning of a physical person, a lot of people don't recognize what they're feeling is grief. They don't recognize that they are really sad about losing that thing, right? Or a part of themselves, or that person in the relationship. And it's okay to grieve all of that, because when you're in that, you are grieving what you thought could be a possibility, which is really weird with living in the past, right? Because when you're grieving, you lose that thing, but all of the possibilities of that relationship, you thought you were going to get married, you were naming kids you ain't even had yet, like you were in the future, you were in that, and then it ends. And it ends and you're caught behind the line, right? And so now you're stuck in the past, but you're reminiscing about a future that never happened. And you can't get out of that. And it's okay to grieve a relationship, all that you thought was going to happen. It's okay. What's not okay is that you stay there for a long period of time. That job you had, people grieve over the job. They saw themselves there for the rest of their lives. This is what I was meant to do. I'm in it to win it. A lot of police officers, doctors, EMTs, people on high standings, when they lose their job, whether because of illness, um, whatever it may be, or they have to retire and they've been doing it for a long time, they do go through grief and depression, because what happens is the person literally becomes that job. There is no separation. And so when it physically on this plane separates them, it is a grief, because now they don't know who they are. They grieve that part of them. Where is that person? I knew who we were like. We're tight, right? And now it's no longer there. And this goes into what I was talking about, that comfortability where everybody knew your name. When you separate from that job, you don't get the same kind of accolades like when you were in it. You know what I mean? I think some military people go through this too. You don't see yourself as the same, and you don't feel that people see you as the same, right? Something has changed, something has switched, because you are no longer active in that role. You were part of that role. And it doesn't matter if it's a day, a week, a month, a year, a couple of years. You feel like, man, I knew me in that role, right? I knew me in that space. Like when I walked down the street, people knew that I was a cop, or that I was a soldier, or that I saved lives. Like I'm important. And then that's taken away, or it's had to been laid down, and you don't know who you are, and you feel like now you're not as important, because you don't hold an important role, because now what you do isn't saving people's lives. You know what I'm saying? It's not risking, doing those high empowered jobs, right, where you get that kind of recognition. So a lot of people do go through grief with that, depression and grief, right? But a lot of people wouldn't recognize that you can grieve a job, but you can. right? Anytime you lose something, I know when I went through my traumatic experience, when the pastor of the church trespassed on my children, um, you have to get my book to find out, trespassed on my children, um, I experienced grief, right? Uh, I experienced grief on multiple, it was like grieving on multiple levels, which I didn't realize until I actually was healed. Um, but that grief that I had, I held on too long because number one, I didn't know it was grief. Then it turned into anger. Then it turned into rage. And then for 7 years, like I've mentioned before, I was suicidal and homicidal. But this is why I do these videos. And I don't care if nobody sees it or whatever. Somebody, 5, 6, 7, like I said, years from now, is going to see these videos. And it is going to do, I pray that it saves someone because I know what it's like to be alone and in the dark. But my grief turned into anger and it turned into rage. And then my life just went sideways all the way. Okay, hang on now. We sideways. It went sideways. It went all the way sideways. Hold on just a second. I'm not gonna stop this video, but my dog wants to come in. So please forgive me. Hold on. And don't look, don't be tripping about the skirt I got on, all right? Because you know I'm comfortable being me. Oh, come on here, girl. Get your behind up in here. Doing too much out there. I told you it was hot. Go on and lay down. Get some water. I'll be there shortly. All right, that dog don't ever listen. All right, so the rage had taken me to a whole new place, a whole new place. And one day I'll do a video on the metaphysical and spiritual aspects of when you are vibrating low, because I had learned some things, seen some things, heard some things that most people would not believe because I was vibrating so low. But anyways, beyond that, so it is important to let go of grief so that you are able to move forth in the future. I went to therapy for my job when I left my job because I had a back injury, and I absolutely, when I say I love my job, I love my job. So I worked in the ER. Absolutely loved my job. Thought I would be doing that work forever. Had a back injury. Ended up having 2 back surgeries. Can't work in the ER. And I grieved. I didn't know that you could grieve a job, but I had to go see a therapist for that grief. I had to be able to let that go and replace it with something, right? So you have to get to know yourself and be honest with yourself so that you can move forward. If you see someone else, then you think that they might be grieving, it's good to have that conversation and let them know maybe you need to talk to someone about it. Um, and encourage them um, in that to get the help that they need because it is a lonely and a sad place because you have to find the new you, right? Again, being comfortable. You have to go out and find the new you. Who are you without this position? Who are you without this person constantly being in your life that you can see every day and laugh with, right? Who are you without this relationship that you've been in, that you've shared space with this person, and that you saw yourself walking down the aisle and having children with, right? When it all ends, who are you? And that's what we struggle with still. The unknown, right? It's a constant. It's the unknown, being comfortable, the unknown, not knowing the new thing once the old ends, right? And so you just want to stay there. You freeze, like your spirit freezes, and you just want to stay there. And even the pain, if you stay long enough, the pain is comfortable. You know what that pain feels like, and you don't want to trade it for joy or happiness or peace or whatever. You've gotten comfortable with what pain feels like. And some people will, I know it's crazy, but they will stay there. Okay, so let's see here. Now that we've just discussed the grief portion, I kind of got into relationships, but I want to go even further. So when you're dealing with relationships, a lot of people will settle, right? They will settle. And a lot of times they will settle because of what has happened in the past, what has been said in the past. Now, let me tell you something. And I say this in every video. So I hope this really hits home for someone. When you enter into this realm, you are given your name, you are given your religion, and you are given the rules of your household, right? Then you go to school and the teacher gives you rules. For those that go to church, you go to your pastor, your first lady, your mothers of the church, they give you rules, right? You get on your job, they give you rules. You are given everything. Nothing is really coming from your mindset. You are being spoon fed what they say are truths. This becomes a big problem when we get into relationships with other people. Because when you get in a relationship with someone else, you bring a lot of that luggage, all of those sermons and lessons that they taught into this relationship, right? And and they could have taught it from a good space because people teach what they know, what they think they know, right? What they've been taught. So you got to see it from a different perspective. Not that they're trying to harm, but that's just how it goes sometimes, right? So in relationships, sometimes people settle because um, if you were told that you weren't worthy to live this kind of life or have that kind of person or your looks, mm, if people talked about you when you were 5 years old so bad that you hung on to those things that the person said when you were five, you grow up, you're like, oh, well, I don't deserve anything better than this. I will settle for this because they said this in the past about me. And what you don't realize is that you are bringing forth their words to truth. You are empowering their words, and so it's manifesting in your life, and you are settling. You are making choices and decisions based off your past, based of not only off your past, but what other people think, what they thought, which has nothing to do with you, right? Your own worst enemy is you. It's not the opposition out here, it's you. It's what you choose to believe in, it's what you choose to listen to. And I get it. When we're young, we soak up things. And the younger you are, the more you soak up. And it can distort your mind. But once you get to be 30, 40, 50, something should in you should be like, wait a minute, pump the brakes. Pump the doggone brakes here. I know that I deserve better than this. And it's okay to know you deserve better. What's not okay is to continue to put yourself under somebody's foot to make yourself feel better. You have to come out of the chains and the oppression of the past that has you gripped up and come forth and walk in your power and your freedom. And I know it's easy for me to say, but I had to learn that. I had to dig deep and I had to figure out what in the world, why am I attracting certain people? Why am I attracting certain environments, languages? What is going on? I don't like this. As I started to change, as I started to question myself, I don't like this feeling. I don't like this how they move like that, right? But why every time I get ready to talk to someone, that's who's approaching me? I understood that I needed to do some work within because the residue of my past was lingering. And that residue was powerful enough to call things like itself to me until I was like, we're going to scrub all this. Well, we going to scrub all this. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty of what's going on within you because we are not going to sit here and vibrate um, at a low rate and attract these buzzards. Okay. I'm sorry. They were buzzards. Attract these buzzards. And I got tired of that. So I had to go back to the beginning of relationships. Why did you get into that relationship? Why uh why did you even speak to that person? As I did that, I'll share with you my I got married when I was 16. So I graduated high school at 16. I was kind of stuck because I wasn't old enough to sign any papers to go anywhere. You know, I got a full scholarship to Arizona to work to become a journeyman mechanic because that's what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to work for NASCAR in the pit crew. That's your girl. Anyways, so that's what I wanted to do. Wasn't old enough. Mom refused to sign the papers. Why? Because there's boys. Ended up getting pregnant anyway. So maybe the cars and the love of cars and what I wanted to do would have prevented that. But anyways, perspective is done. I'm here living my life. So I ended up getting married to my then boyfriend who was much older than me. Shouldn't have happened. Now, she permitted me to marry him, but didn't permit me to go to Arizona to go to school. Hmm. Anyways, when I started to do my shadow work and my self were. I had come to the conclusion that I didn't marry this man out of love. I didn't even marry him out of like. Didn't even know what love was then. Didn't know any of that. I married him to get out of the situation my mom had in our home going on. Okay. I needed some safety, stability, and being at 16, I didn't have any adults around me to kind of curtail and to push me on the right path. I knew right from wrong, but I was figuring it out wrong. And that part I didn't know. So in that, I ended up going down this realm. He ended up becoming abusive. I ended up leaving the same day he decided he was going to be abusive. Because what you're not going to do is put your hands on me, okay? And that was the end of that. That was the end of that. Because I knew my worth to a certain extent. And I knew I needed to get to a certain point in my life. I didn't know how to get there at 16. So I had to walk back and think about everything that had transpired in that relationship, in that marriage, to find out how I ended up there. And once I did, I was okay with it. I peeled back the layers and looked. Said, I see you. I see you. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not judging you. You knew what you did, what you knew. You did what you knew. And that's okay. And that's what a lot of us have to do. We're scared to look at ourselves. We're scared of seeing the pain that we cause ourselves and that we cause others. But that's the only way you have to get through. You have to understand that you did what you did for whatever reason, right? But you have to see yourself. If you were doing it out of spite, you need to see that you are spiteful. And you got to see that I don't like being spiteful. So what am I going to do to change that about me, right? You pull back that layer and you see that a lot of gossip, right? I don't want to be a gossiper. I don't want people to think of me as that girl that gossips, right? So what are you going to do to change that? So going into past to heal yourself is great, especially when it deals with being paired up in relationships. Because if you feel that you are not worthy, you will go and get someone who is unworthy. Because you're living in the past. Because you're bringing all of those naysayers with you, right? You're there and all you hear is like you see those movies where they got the kid kind of like this and then everybody's circling around them and all they're doing is speaking nasty stuff on them. That's what's happening to you and you're believing it. So you'll attach yourself to anything because you're like, oh, they winked at me. Oh, they smiled at me. Oh, they gave me their phone number. That must be my husband, right? Because we're happy to get any kind of attention, even if it's not good attention. That's why you don't need to go in the past to heal yourself. You just need to go into the now to heal yourself, right? Some of those lessons aren't going to be lessons then that you learn. They'll be lessons now that you learn. But you have to be willing to go inside yourself and search for those answers and look at yourself in the mirror and be brutally honest. And it's going to be painful. There will be tears. There might be some yelling. It's going to be painful, but it's going to be oh so worth it, right? Let me make sure I'm hitting everything on here. So a lot of people will compromise their values too because they don't want to be alone. Why don't you want to be alone? Because you have to deal with self. Because when you're alone, you have to deal with your thoughts. When you're alone, every decision is up to you. You don't get to point at your husband or your boyfriend and say anything, right? And when you're alone, um, a lot of people have a problem with the aloneness. So they turn on the radio, they turn on the TV, they call someone up on the phone, right? Because they can't stand to be with their own thoughts because they will have to face what is going on in their life right now and understand that it's because of a lot of things that happened in the past, but you don't know how to reconcile the two so that you can move forth in the future. But it has to be done, love. It has to be done, or you're still going to be living in a trash bin. Okay? And I'm not talking about, well, some of y'all, I am talking about physical environment because sometimes it spills over so much that when you look around, you are actually living how you are feeling and what you're putting out there. And then a lot of times it's just the motion part. You're all over the place. It's trashy and it's ugly. And you're lashing out at people who have nothing to do with whatever you're going through because you don't want to deal with yourself. And it's easier to point fingers than to point right here, right? It's easier to look outward than to look inward. That's a huge problem when we're dealing with moving forward and not living in the past. Childhood traumas. All right, stepping on toes. Y'all hang on. We need to hang on to both rails. Buckle up, put the harness on because I'm stepping on toes here. I am so tired of people blaming their parents for things. I know that there are parents out here who do not live up to their responsibility, no way, no how. I know there are some ruthless parents out here. I know there are parents that they aren't even capable of love. They don't even love themselves. So how in the world are they going to love you? But let me tell you something about parents. Me being a parent myself, and me not doing everything right, honey. I got one daughter I haven't talked to, and I don't even know what happened that she won't talk to me. And it's okay. It's okay because she got to go her path. I got to go mine. I, I am just a vessel. Let me finish that out. Parents are a vessel. Let me tell you something. Before you were born, your parents were individuals. They had their own demons, their own addictions, bills they couldn't pay. They had their own family trauma and mess. They had their own abuses. And then here you come. Whether they wanted you, whether they planned for you, because when you have a child, you don't know what comes with that, right? So no matter what, even if they had lots of love and they had all the money and all of that, they don't know what's in store for them when a child comes. You just can't be prepared enough, right? But you come into the world and you don't take away the illnesses or the diseases they may have. You don't take away their bills. You don't take away the family trauma. You don't take away the past of molestation. You don't take away the alcohol or drug abuse. If anything, the chances are you added to it, right? Because people don't see their parents as individuals. The Most High sent you here and sent you through a vessel to get here. Federation, wormhole, right? We're going through the wormhole. I need you to go through these two people because the assignment I have for you is in this area. They are going to help you get there. And nobody said they were going to help you get there by love and joy and peace and light. You may have some trauma because there's some lessons you need to learn. So when then you do your assignment, you'll know what it feels like. You can come from a side of experience, truthfulness. You'll be able to have empathy and compassion for others, right? Then you have people who parents just walked off, right? Dad gone. I ain't seen dad. He wasn't there for my birth, or he left when I was 2 or whatever. And they get so upset about it. But nobody thinks like maybe he was removed out of your life on purpose. Maybe he was an alcoholic. Maybe he was scared because he was molested and he didn't want to molest his children. You don't know what is in the hearts and spirits of people. You just take them as he should have been there. He should have done it. There are struggles out here. And you know how I know that? Because those who say these things are struggling themselves. The curse just continues. You want to look at your parents, but look at you. You're no better. You're struggling in the same areas, probably. Now, your dad, I don't know because you ain't seen him, but that might have been a blessing. You don't know because you have children out there praying that their dad would leave the house, their mom would leave, that a stranger would come and get them, that they could live with their grandma or they could live with their teacher or anybody off the street pick me up. You hear what I'm saying? You got kids wishing their parents would just disappear because the abuse, whether it be physical, mental, spiritual, is so high. And here you are complaining that the parent up and left you. But you don't know nothing about that parent. You don't know if your life would have been better or worse. On the flip side, would you be that child crying, wondering if somebody else could come get you? Right? You ain't got no food in the house. Yeah, you got both parents. The heat ain't been on. They're strung out. You got both parents. What I'm trying to get people to understand is that you have to look at things in a different perspective, and you have to be grateful, because if you're able to complain as an adult about your parents, you're here, you made it, right? We got to move forward. Your parents struggled with whatever they struggled with. They did what they could with the addictions and the demons they were fighting, right? But now you know right from wrong. Now it's time for you to move on. But people get upset. You run into people who, you're having a good time and all of that, and they get upset. You don't know what it's like to have this happen when you were little, and you got that. You got your parents, right? You got food in the house. You know what it is to struggle. Like they wear that as a badge. And they don't even realize that if they took the moment to look around, babe, you got food in your pantry. You got family who love you. Now they may not be blood, but they would risk their life for you. That is family. And you're willing to shoot all that down because it doesn't look like society, right? So in the past, like in I know it's funny I say that, but like in other traditions, like that woman might not have any kids, but you better believe that you're her daughter or her son, right? That village concept, right? But we're so stuck on our pain that we're not grateful for what has been given. You have people who love you. A lot of us have older women that, whether your mom's alive or not, that you see as a mother figure. What a blessing. Some people will never have that mother figure. And all you can do is, you got mom, I ain't have no mom. You do have a mom, but you don't appreciate because you don't live in the now. You don't live in the future. You don't see the possibilities, right? You are stuck way back there as a child, still getting beat, still being ignored, still being abused, still hungry. You don't know how to come out of that to appreciate the food in your cabinet today, to appreciate that neighbor down the street that, hey, baby, you can come on over, you know, I'll watch the kids. You'll see all that. You're still angry about something that you can't change. And you're angry at somebody who maybe didn't have the power, the strength, or the courage to overcome whatever demon that was that did that to you, right? And now they have passed on a sliver of that to you because now you can't find joy anywhere. But the truth is, you believe you don't deserve the joy. You don't deserve the peace. Why don't you deserve it? Because if you did, you would have had it back then, right? So now you just want to be mad at everybody who didn't experience it. Nobody can understand your pain. I can understand your pain, but I went through a different type of traumatic experience. But I've been there when it's lonely. I've been there when you just want to end it all. I've been there, right? I know what it looks like to cry from sun up to sundown over and over again. I've been there. We may not share the same situation that got us there, but we were there together in the valley of death. You have to be put to death and then rise again like the phoenix, right? With more wisdom, more understanding, more love, compassion, and empathy, right? And say, that's what they tried to make me, unbeknownst to them. But I've been reborn again, a new creature. I have put together a whole new family. That's what we want to get to. That's how you have to leave the past behind. And we cannot continue to blame others. We are now adults. When does personal responsibility come in? That's all I want to know. When do you take responsibility for the choices? If I said A, B, and you chose B, I didn't force you to choose B, and you walked that B line, when do you say, oh, I chose B? I didn't think about where it would take me. I didn't ask them any questions. I just saw B and just jumped on. I didn't really have any expectations. So then when you end up in the gutter, oh, she offered me B. She also offered you A. And she didn't say that you couldn't ask any questions. She didn't put any restrictions on it. You chose B and ran full scale into the wall. But now it's her fault, right? Personal responsibility is something this society is lacking. It is everybody else's problem but yours. You are the one who took the shovel and dug the ditch. And now that it's not raining, it's everybody else's fault. It's your fault you're not a rapper, right? It's your fault you didn't go to college. It's everybody's fault. Everybody's fault but yours. Because people refuse to do the work. You don't want to work on the inside of you. You don't want to work on the outside. You just don't want to work. You want to sit back and have someone serve you. You want them to serve you the right answers. And if it gets too tough, you just want them to walk in your shoes literally and complete it and then come get you when it's done. And I just move in graciously, right? That is what we want in this society. Unfortunately, that is not how it works. And that's why a lot of us are just sitting still, watching Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, tick away. You not making any progress. You seeing everybody else doing stuff, but that's everybody else, right? Because there's no way you have the capability of doing these things, right? There's no way. You weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth. You know, you don't have the husband. I don't have the kids. I don't have the little poodle. They all have all these things. That's why they can do it. They have lots of money to spend in the bank. That's why they do it. You know, that's how they do it. That's how they're able to do all of this stuff. Oh, because he knows him who knows her, who knows him who knows her, then they're in like that. But I don't have those kind of connections, so I can't do that. We have a lot of excuses. A lot of excuses. There are people out here who have done some amazing things with absolutely nothing and no one. So the excuses are done. We're tired of excuses. I need you to leave the past in the past, and I need you to move forward. Your blessings have been waiting for years for you to come and grab them. People you are assigned to are still waiting for you to come and help them move forward. And you are making excuses, excuse after excuse after excuse of why you have not moved your behind, why you will not confront yourself. It's time out for excuses. We all have the ability to grow orchards and fruit and drop fruit. You decide if you want it to be rotten fruit or good fruit. I tell my kids, anytime you make a decision, before you make that last decision, walk that decision all the way down to see all the consequences. If you cannot afford to pay for all of those consequences, walk that decision back and find another path. Because you are the one that's going to be paying that bill, right? You're going to be the one sitting in that jail cell because I ain't coming for you. Because I done taught you everything I could. But now it's up to you, right? I will not be the enemy of my community. When my kids go around, they know mama ain't coming. I'm not coming because I did my job to the best of my ability. I have shown you what right and wrong is. But now you want to go out and you want to learn on your own. Well, go forth and learn on your own, but you won't pay to be the boss, right? You're going to pay to be the boss. And yeah, they call up for wisdom, honey, and I give them wisdom. Now, I don't give them nothing unless they ask. Because what you're not going to do is come pick my brain and then decide against it. And then find out later I'm right. So unless they specifically ask, I've learned to stop trespassing on my children. I don't give them what they didn't ask for. Right? That's just how it's got to be. So there's so much to this past and future thing, but it's coming up on an hour. I hope I've said something that touched someone. Or if you know someone who is stuck in the past, who just can't get beyond that, share this, like and share this video. Like I said, we need to be like Star Trek, the Federation, out there exploring and seeking, wondering what's in store for us, right? What's waiting to come to us, right? Had you told me, what is this, 14, 15, wait, 15 years ago, that I would be an entrepreneur, that I would be an author, a published author, Confronting Reflections, y'all. You know, I got to put that plug in. That I would be an author, that I would be married to a man that loves me. This man, I didn't even know men like this walk the earth. You hear me? Um, there is no one on this earth that could love me better than my husband. But if you could tell me that we'd own two homes together, travel together. I've had vacations, y'all. Now I came up and I was a single mom. I was struggling. When I say I was in the struggling business, I was in the struggling business. And to look forward to see the life that I've been blessed to live, because of the work I've done on myself. Had I not done that work, my husband wouldn't have married me. I was a hot mess. You hear me? Had I not done that work, I wouldn't be able to write this book, because this book is filled with confronting myself and then sharing the steps that help me move myself forward, right? I wouldn't be an entrepreneur. I have my own e-commerce store, y'all. I mean, this is unbelievable. I took out the telescope and I went and I searched and I saw and I became, and I'm still looking and still searching, because I don't even know what it's going to look like next year or the year after that. I mean, it's exciting to know that if I move my feet, and even though I may do it with my fists clenched and my eyes squinted and my toes curled, knowing that I moved in that direction, I set loose another ripple that's going to bring even more amazing stuff. Part of letting go of the past is letting go completely. Because look, if I'm sitting here like this all the time, what can come in? Nothing. But if I understand that I just have to relax and release, things go, but things come. It's a beautiful exchange, right? I understand that things have to leave and then things will enter. And those things that enter, once you let it go and it hasn't been ripped from you because you just acting crazy, is even more powerful and better than you could ever imagine. So today's video is The Past is Not Your Future. I will be doing this video live on Facebook, in our Facebook group at Rooted Vines, so people can talk and, back and forth. I hope this really helped somebody. This is my assignment. So whether I have one viewer, zero viewers, I don't know. I don't know when this video is going to enter in someone's life. It may be a year, 2 years, 5 years. I don't know. But I'm hoping that you come to realize the power that you possess, that you are a creator, that those things in the past is not who you are today. Come forth. Take your telescope, look up, see that there's hope and unlimited possibilities for your life. That you get to decide who you are. You get to decide who you believe or what you believe and what you will become. You hold the power uh, in all of those spaces. So I leave you with love, peace, hope, and light. And I just don't say this lightly, like I'm some woke person. I'm not. What I am is a real person that went through some traumatic experiences that almost took me out of this realm. And now I share with people my thoughts and aspects on how I overcame, and give you some different perspective on how you can see things to change the way that you see and that you feel things, right? Because we are only human. But we are here to uplift and encourage one another. If you are not doing that, I don't know what you're doing with your life, right? What are you here for? Just taking up air and space? It's time to learn you. It's time to forgive you. And it's time to leave old you in the past. And the new you, it's time for you to emerge as a new creature and show the world who you really are. So be blessed, y'all. And I will see you next Sunday. All right. Bye.